I want to thank Best Buy for sponsoring this video. What's up everyone, I'm B the Installer, and I'm here to give you this video on 5 steps to picking out a perfect TV for you. We're going to go over all 5 steps, going to guide you right down the list, a way to get your perfect TV in 2023, because it's pretty confusing. You can watch a bunch of YouTube videos and be more confused at the end. So hopefully this helps out, and stick around to the end because I'm going to give you guys a funnel right to the perfect TV. So make sure you watch to the end so I can show you guys how to do this yourself. Let's get right into it with our first question, which is, are you going to be in a bright room or a dark room or a mix of both? And this is important because a lot of people may just have a mix of both. You know, you can have it bright or dark. But if you have a specific theater room, or you know that you have a ton of windows in your house, those are very important questions when it comes to picking a TV. And let's start with the dark room first. Because if we have a dark room, we're most likely going to want something that is an OLED TV, or something that can get bright but also has very good black levels, because that's very important. If you're in a dark room and you have a TV that's not very good at getting very black blacks, then it becomes very noticeable with lack of light in the room. So OLED TVs are really good for this, and there's all kinds of OLED TVs to choose from, and there's other factors that we're going to go along the way to help you differentiate between some of them. But something like this Sony A80K 55-inch here, you know, it's $100 off. $13.99, so it's a great OLED TV. You also have something like an LG C2, which is a great TV. And of course, for all these TVs that I'm going to be speaking about, there are 2022 models that are probably better priced at this point in early 2023. And then there's going to be new models coming out and that are out that I'll let you know, but they're just more expensive right now. And I'll let you know some of the differences. But you have all these different LG C2s. You even have 48-inch LG C2 if you're sitting up close, or they have larger OLED TVs here, you know, 77-inch A80K, $28.99. So OLED TVs are really good for dark rooms. Now, if you're in more of the moderately lit room and having that perfect black level isn't as important as maybe having something that's a little bit brighter when you're watching sports, then you also have things like the X90K here. This is a Sony TV that is a very popular TV just in general, specifically like the 85-inch TV here. This is $19.99. When it came out, it was probably $3,000 or $4,000. So it's really on sale now. And these TVs are great because they're good for, you know, regular content. They're pretty good for movies. They're pretty good for sports. And they're pretty good if it's not too bright, too dark. So I like this TV in general. It's kind of a go-to for a lot of people. Very popular 900 series Sony. And then if you're in a really bright room, you want to have a TV that's able to get super bright and has really good anti-reflective capabilities. And that would be something like the QN90B here from Samsung. So this has just always been a great series to get if you want that bright TV, you want to knock down reflection well. So in a really bright room, I do like these Samsung TVs, and this Samsung QN90B is on sale. Again, this started out at like $4,000 or $5,000 for the 85-inch. It's now $25.99. You got a 75-inch for $21.99 and even $15.99 for a 65-inch. So a great TV here that you can pick up. Now, second question is, what kind of content do you watch? Because that's also important. Because even if you're in a bright or a dark room, you might be watching or playing different kinds of content. So maybe you're just watching sports and cable. Maybe you're watching HDR movies all the time and you want to have a very bright HDR performance, or you're playing video games and that's very important. Or again, you could have kind of a mix of all of it. So when looking at these from top to bottom, what I would say is, if you're primarily watching sports and cable, that's good news for your pocketbook, because that means that most of the TVs that you could select aren't super expensive. I go into tons of houses, and if they're just watching sports and cable, you're going to be okay with most TVs. So if you're on the Best Buy website and you want to find kind of the best deals, go into the top deals here, and then you want to go into the TV and projectors here, and then you can slide down to the bottom here where you just get all kinds of great pricing and great deals. And again, the sky's the limit. Best Buy has basically every TV that you can think of. So, you know, I don't really care which TV you pick. I'm just trying to show you the TVs that are out there and how you can save money on them, whether it's a high-end TV, a middle-of-the-road TV, a cheaper TV, you know, they're all great by me. I'm just trying to help direct you toward the one that I think would be best for you. So on the low end right here, you can see LG, Hisense, TCL, all these TVs are well priced and perform great for just watching sports and cable. This LG UQ75, we actually had in the house. We had a larger version of this, but I mean, look, a 65-inch TV for $469. That's pretty tough to beat. And that's actually a pretty decent TV. I like it. It looks great for sports and cable and all the things if you're just watching news no problem. This TV is great. If you're trying to watch HDR movies, it might not be so good. But if you're just looking at the sports and cable aspect, I think this is great here. And again, Hisense, TCL, they normally outperform for their price point. So if you're looking at a smaller TV, like a 43-inch, $229, that really, is fantastic. You can't really beat that. And if you're watching sports, maybe you're trying to watch it on a big TV. And if you are, there's a lot of TVs here like this Samsung Q70A, still $1699 for an 85-inch TV. That's pretty awesome. And again, the 75-inch X90K that I was talking about, $1499. So a lot of big TVs under $2,000, which is awesome. Now, if you're going to be watching HDR movies, you want something that's very good at that high dynamic range, something that can get really bright and then also really dark in the dark areas. So again, that kind of leads me back to something like an OLED TV, which we have a bunch on the screen here, or a QLED TV, which also can do really good HDR. In 2023, the mini LED QLEDs are even better. So if we look here first, we have something like the LG G2, which is a very awesome TV. And even the G3 again of this year is supposed to be even better. But the G3 this year is not going to be priced at $1999 for a 65-inch. This also looks really cool on the wall. So if you want to have a really cool TV that looks really awesome on the wall and then can handle all of that great HDR movies, those animated movies with the bright colors all over, this LG G2 is one of the best. And then of course you have the LG C2, which is another fantastic OLED TV. And if you get that at 65-inch, maybe you don't need it to look perfectly tight against the wall. So, you can save $400 by buying the C2 instead of the G2. And honestly, I think this TV is fantastic as well. And then on the other hand, again, I said a QLED or just an LED TV with the bright backlight, something like the X95K, which is from Sony, is even brighter than the X90K. It's a little bit more expensive, but it is really bright HDR and pretty awesome TV. Now, it's a little bit more expensive than maybe I'd like, but we're going to talk about pricing in a bit, so let's just hold that thought. And then if you're looking for something for gaming, then it comes down to features. And I think that the LG OLEDs are fantastic for gaming. And so you have something like a 48-inch LG C2 that's only $949 when you're a Total Tech member. That's a fantastic price. And one of my friends, Stop the FOMO, had mentioned that you cannot get a great gaming monitor for something like this. 48 inches. This is huge for gaming. So I think this is an opportunity to buy an awesome gaming OLED TV, bright HDR, fantastic HDR gaming. And so it depends on what kind of content that you're going to be watching, and that makes a big difference. So gaming, LG OLED. Now the third thing is your seating distance from the TV. And that's important because the further away from the TV you are, the bigger TV you need, right? That makes sense. You don't want to have that 42-inch monitor if you're sitting 15 feet away. And so your seating distance is kind of difficult to understand. Now they do make sort of a seating distance calculator that you can check out online, but we kind of just broke it down for you here. If you're 6 feet or less, 6 feet to 9 feet, 10 feet to 13 feet, and then 14 foot plus. So if you're talking 6 feet or closer, you can basically get away with anything under 65-inch, 55-inch TVs, 65-inch included if you like a little bit larger size, because again, there's very good pricing on a lot of these 65-inch TVs. But I also think that the 55-inch is fantastic. So right here you have the Samsung S95B, which is the QD OLED from last year, which now, this started out at being about $2,500 when it came out, and now it's $1,449. That's a fantastic price. I'd highly recommend you checking that out if you're looking for a more high-end, smaller TV. And you got other things like this 50-inch 5 Series Google TV from TCL, which is only $379. So if you need 50-inch TV, if you're sitting close, that's actually a really good TV. Good HDR, good operating system. I'm a big fan of this TCL 5 Series. Now, what if you're sitting further away? You could be sitting 10 to 13 feet if you have a big living room, or if you're even 14 foot plus. Well, that's when you get into these larger sizes that I talk about a lot on my channel, which are, 85-inch plus TVs. It doesn't mean that they have to be super expensive. Right here, you can see that you have an 85-inch U7H. This is a TV that I actually had in our house, and I loved it. $1799, much lower price than when it came out. And if you're not as familiar with Hisense and you want to get something that's pretty similar, I like this Sony 85-inch X85K. It's very good. It's probably not quite as punchy with the HDR, But again, if you're watching sports and cable, things like that, news, whatever, but you have a big house, you're sitting pretty far away, it's still a really good price. Same price, $17.99, which is saving you what it says to be $100. But I don't think that was the original price when it came out. It was probably over $2,000. So again, you have this. You also have the one step up X90K that I've already mentioned a couple times at $2,000. Both fantastic TVs. So distance is important, and knowing how far you sit away and what that would equate to and how large of a TV you should look for is very important. Also, the size of your entertainment center is important. The size of the wall in general is important. So I go over that in some other videos, but you get my drift. It helps to know what size TV you should be looking for. And then we get to the fourth point, which is brand preference. Now, for me, I'm a big fan of most TVs, but it may be important to you to pick a specific brand. And that's why I have most of the major brands listed up here. LG, Sony, Samsung, TCL, Hisense, at least in the United States anyways. There are other brands across the world, so I feel bad for leaving them out, but these are primarily the top 5 brands in the United States. So if you have a specific brand in mind, it just makes it easier for you to shop. So if you're familiar and you're comfortable with Samsung TVs, you can just go and shop by that and then start looking at some of the other differentiators that we were talking about. So maybe you like the fact that Samsung has an operating system you're used to. Maybe you like the fact that they're just normally pretty bright and vibrant TVs. So you can look down the list and find a bunch of different Samsung TVs. Here again is that QN90B. I'm a big fan of this TV, $15.99 for a 65-inch. If that's a little bit too expensive, there are other TVs, the CU7000. This TV is a 75-inch TV for $799. That's a fantastic price. Again, this isn't going to be something that's really good with the HDR, and it probably doesn't have a lot of great gaming features, but just for basic sports, watching the Super Bowl, watching, news and cable, that'd be just fine. And it has the same kind of Tizen operating system with all the Samsung Plus channels and all that. So, pretty cool operating system and pretty cool TVs in general. Now, let's say maybe you don't like Samsung because they're one of the only brands of TVs that doesn't have Dolby Vision. So instead of picking Samsung, you end up picking LG because, LG has Dolby Vision. Maybe you also want gaming. So now you're back on LG, they're good gaming TVs, and you can go down the list and pick out different features or different price points, sizes. All of that is all relevant to the different brand that you might specifically want. So while I think that picking a specific brand isn't always the first step, there is an opportunity for you to say, I like this specific brand, or maybe you just like all the brands and you want the best recommendation. I'm going to get to that in just a moment, but we got one more thing to talk about. And that is, of course, price, because nobody goes to pick out a TV without having some sort of budget in mind. So maybe you just want to go for a budget TV because in that specific room of the house, all you guys do there is just watch the same news channel 24/7. So again, you could go for something like this UQ75 here from LG. Very low price TV. This is a 65-inch TV that's pretty good for sports, news, and cable for $469. It has the WebOS, the same WebOS that even the high-end OLEDs have. They do have some extra bonus channels that you get if you don't have cable, for instance, and they're still pretty decent gaming TV. So that's a fantastic price for a budget TV that I thought performed pretty well and with your typical SDR content. But let's say you want to go mid-range. You want to get some of those features that I talked about, like HDR performance and maybe some gaming chops if you want to play a game here or there. Well, something like this 6 Series Mini LED QLED from TCL fits that bill because, again, still 55-inch TV, $599. It's not a bad price at all. It's very good. And TVs like TCL and Hisense normally outperform some of the other brands that you might be more familiar with, like Sony, Samsung, and LG. And really, the more times that I get to see TCL and Hisense TVs, the more I'm impressed with how good the quality is, and it's getting better and better for reasonable prices. And then if you want to go high end, you're like, I don't really care. I want this to be the one TV that I purchased. And like 15 years ago, I bought this Pioneer Plasma that was like $10,000. So I'm going to go crazy on this one TV purchase. Then you can get something like this LG G2, which is a 77-inch TV. Yes, it's $35.99. But again, we always talk about how some of these TVs that were even smaller than this were so much more expensive back in the day. So if you have a budget, it's good to know what the highest quality TVs are out there. This LG G2 is one of the best TVs. Again, the LG G3 should be even better this year. Some early reviews are really liking it. So I think that that's a great opportunity for you to buy a really cool looking high-end HDR performing TV with gaming chops, with HDR, everything. Awesome TV. All right, so those are the 5 steps to picking the perfect TV. You should be good to go, right? Well, if you're not, or if you're still confused and you want a little bit help of going through the process of these, we created a quiz for you to take on BeTheInstaller.com, the TV quiz. where you can actually click on this and go through all 5 of those options that I just gave you. And at the end of that quiz, you're gonna get the perfect TV picked for you and a few more just in case. So let's go over that right now just so I can show you. So my living room is very bright, so I'm gonna pick bright. We normally watch sports and cables, but occasionally movies and some video games, so I'm actually gonna pick mixed content. Our seating distance is actually 14 plus feet, so I could go 10 to 13 or 14 plus. I don't really care which brand it picks. I know all 5 of these brands have good TVs, but if you do have a specific brand that you like, make sure to pick it. I'll pick any. And then of course, because I review TVs, I'm kind of apt to picking the high-end TVs because I know how great they perform, but mid-range would also be a good option here too. But I'll pick high-end. And then I'm gonna put my name and my email address in here. And by doing that, you're gonna be notified when one of my new videos comes out. So go ahead and put your name and email address in there and agree to the terms and conditions. You can always opt out of the email later if you don't wanna get it any longer. And then just click next, and it's gonna pop up the best TVs for you. So this chose the 85-inch X95K, which I've already talked about being a fantastic HDR TV. It would fit the bill for how big our room is and how far we sit away. And then below it are some other options. And ooh, I actually like that it popped up that 85-inch Samsung QN90C. That's a new TV in 2023. And the 85-inch QN90B. Now, if I had to choose between one of these two, I probably would choose the QN90B because I thought they were very similar, but the QN90B is last year's, and I bet you the price is better. So I'm actually gonna click on that, and it's gonna take me back to Best Buy where you can purchase it and help the channel. I appreciate it if you do. But right here, you can see that this is $25.99, saving $700. And I know for a fact that that QN90C is not discounted yet. So I would absolutely recommend you guys to get the QN90B over the QN90C just because of the price point. So that was easy enough. I think this does a great job of directing you guys to probably what would be the best TVs for your budget, your size, how far away you sit from the TV, your content that you watch, and so on and so forth. And all these prices reflect being a Total Tech member, which I am, of course, because for $200 a year, it's a fantastic opportunity for you guys to get extended warranty, extended return period. So a lot of benefits. But if you don't know about Total Tech, let me go over it real quick. First of all, you get free Geek Squad support 24/7. Definitely have used this when we had some computer issues. You do get 24 months of product protection, which is fantastic because almost everything that I get, if I only have the 1-year warranty, it normally breaks down at like 13 months. So now you get 2 years. You get 2 free days shipping, and of course, you do get some extra discounts on some of the products. And then one of the coolest things is that you get a 60-day return period on most items, which I think is great because 14 days is hardly enough time for you to really understand if you like a product or not, and 60 days is definitely long enough. So fantastic benefits if you're a Best Buy Total Tech member. I recommend that, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I hope that you guys have learned something. Let me know in the comments if you have. And also check out these videos on the new unboxings that we've done this year. Awesome TVs, and I'll see you on the next one.